The psychology of narcissism. Why some people can't stop thinking about themselves. The hidden personality trait. Have you ever met someone who constantly needs attention? Someone who always wants to be admired, praised, and recognized? Maybe they talk about themselves nonstop. Maybe they exaggerate their achievements, or maybe they simply can't handle criticism. At first, it might seem like confidence, but sometimes it's something deeper. This is where we enter the fascinating and often misunderstood world of narcissism. In this video, we're going to break down the psychology behind narcissism, based on the insights of W. Keith Campbell. We'll explore what narcissism really is, why it develops, how it affects relationships, and most importantly, how to recognize it in real life. Because once you understand narcissism, you start seeing it everywhere. 1. What is narcissism? In psychology, narcissism refers to a personality trait characterized by a strong sense of self-importance, a deep need for admiration, a lack of empathy for others. But here's the important part. Narcissism exists on a spectrum. On one end, you have healthy self-confidence. This is normal. It helps people succeed, take risks, and believe in themselves. Where a person's self-focus becomes toxic and damaging, most people fall somewhere in between. And that's why narcissism is so tricky. It doesn't always look obvious. 2. The two sides of narcissism. Not all narcissists are loud and arrogant. According to research, there are actually two main types. 1. Grandiose narcissism. This is the type most people recognize. Confident, charismatic, dominant, attention-seeking. These individuals often appear successful and powerful. 2. Vulnerable narcissism. This type is more hidden. Insecure, sensitive to criticism. Socially withdrawn, emotionally reactive. Instead of openly seeking admiration, they feel unappreciated and misunderstood. 3. Where does narcissism come from? So how does someone become narcissistic? There isn't just one cause, but several contributing factors. 1. Childhood environment. Some narcissists grow up in environments where they were overpraised, you're better than everyone else, or overly criticized and neglected. In both cases, the child learns to protect their self-esteem in unhealthy ways. 2. Parenting styles. Parents who either overvalue or undervalue their children can unintentionally contribute to narcissistic traits. 3. Cultural influence. Modern culture plays a big role too. Social media, fame, and constant validation have created a world where attention equals value. And in such an environment, narcissistic behaviors can actually be rewarded. 4. The narcissist's mind. What's going on inside a narcissist's mind? At the surface, they may seem confident, but underneath, things are more complicated. They crave validation constantly. They are highly sensitive to criticism. They struggle with empathy. It protects a fragile self-esteem by creating an inflated self-image. But this defense comes at a cost. 5. How narcissists behave in relationships. Narcissism can have a powerful and often negative impact on relationships. In the beginning, narcissists can appear incredibly charming, confident, and exciting. They know how to make a strong first impression, often drawing people in with their charisma and attention. However, as time passes, certain patterns start to emerge. Conversations often become one-sided, with the narcissist dominating and steering everything back to themselves. They may struggle to genuinely listen or show interest in others' thoughts and feelings. Narcissists also tend to seek constant attention and validation. They want to be admired and reassured frequently, which can become exhausting for their partner. Because of this, relationships with narcissists often feel one-sided and draining. Emotional connection becomes shallow, and true intimacy is difficult to maintain. 6. The dark side of narcissism. When narcissism reaches an extreme level, it begins to reveal a much darker side, one that can have serious consequences for both the individual and the people around them. One of the most common traits is manipulation. They often struggle with accountability, rarely admitting fault or taking responsibility for their actions. Instead, they may blame others or avoid facing criticism altogether. This behavior can lead to emotional harm for those close to them. Over time, this creates emotional distance and frustration, making it difficult to build healthy, meaningful connections. As a result, narcissistic individuals often face difficulty maintaining long-term relationships. Trust becomes fragile, and conflicts become more frequent. In more extreme cases, narcissism can lead to exploitation. This is why understanding narcissism is so important. 7. Can narcissists change? One of the most frequently asked questions about narcissism is simple. Can narcissists actually change? The answer is yes, but it's not easy. Many narcissistic individuals do not recognize that their behavior is harmful. From their perspective, they are often justified, misunderstood, or even superior. For real change to happen, several key factors are required. The first is self-awareness, the ability to honestly reflect on one's behavior and recognize its impact on others. Without this, progress is nearly impossible. The second is a willingness to accept criticism. Narcissists often struggle with feedback, especially when it challenges their self-image. Learning to accept and process criticism in a healthy way is essential for growth. The third is emotional development. This includes building empathy, improving communication, and learning how to form deeper, more genuine connections with others. These are not quick fixes. They require time, effort, and consistency. 8. How to deal with narcissistic people. Dealing with narcissistic individuals can be challenging, especially when their behavior begins to affect your emotions and well-being. Whether it's a coworker, friend, or even a family member, it's important to approach the situation with awareness and clear strategies. The first and most important step is to set strong boundaries. Narcissistic people often try to control conversations, situations, and even your emotions. Next, avoid constantly validating them. While it may feel easier to agree or praise them to keep the peace, this only reinforces their need for attention. It's also essential to stay calm and composed. Narcissists may provoke reactions or create conflict to gain control. Engaging emotionally can escalate the situation, so maintaining your calm helps you stay in control and avoid unnecessary stress. Another key strategy is to protect your mental health. Recognize when interactions become draining or toxic, and don't hesitate to step back when needed. Limiting your exposure to such behavior is sometimes the healthiest choice you can make. Most importantly, understand their behavior. Narcissism often stems from insecurity and a fragile sense of self. By recognizing this, you can respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally. In the end, you can't change a narcissist, but you can change how you respond. 9. Narcissism in modern society. In today's world, narcissism is more visible than ever before. With the rise of social media, behaviors that were once subtle are now constantly on display. Platforms reward attention, popularity, and self-promotion, encouraging people to present the best, and sometimes exaggerated, versions of themselves. Likes, comments, and followers have become a form of validation, and for some individuals, this can reinforce narcissistic tendencies. The more attention someone receives, the more they may begin to rely on external approval to feel valued. Over time, this can create a cycle where self-worth becomes dependent on recognition from others. There is a clear difference between healthy self-expression and self-obsession. Sharing achievements, ideas, or creativity can be positive and empowering. But when the focus shifts entirely to seeking admiration and constant validation, it can become unhealthy. Recognizing this difference is key. It allows us to use social media in a balanced way, without losing our sense of authenticity or self-worth. In a world that constantly encourages visibility, staying grounded and self-aware is more important than ever. Final thoughts. Narcissism is complex. It's not just about ego, it's about insecurity, identity, and human behavior. We all have a little bit of narcissism in us. But when it becomes extreme, it can damage relationships, mental health, and personal growth. Understanding narcissism doesn't just help us identify it in others, it helps us reflect on ourselves, because the goal isn't to judge. The goal is to understand. A question for you now. Here's something to think about. Have you ever encountered someone with narcissistic traits? Or maybe noticed a few in yourself? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more psychology-based content. Because the more we understand the human mind, the better we understand ourselves.